Folks, we made it. It's week 0. We got football games starting in 4 days. Roddy Jones from the ACC Network, ESPN, SiriusXM with us. Tripp Hurd at Locks of the Dock on Twitter. Just go ahead and bookmark that right now, folks, because childcare is not cheap. And if you want to get your mind right, if you want to get your wallet right this season, Tripp is your guy. Fellas, it is great to see you. It is great to be with both of you. We're going to be talking football for the next hour. Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports will stop by in about 20 minutes. We're going to do a deep dive on the Big 12. Roddy, I know you wanted to jump into the Sun Belt today. We're going to save the Sun Belt preview for next week. We're talking Big 12 today. How we living?
I'm great. Disappointed that you changed. Initially, I wanted the Mountain West, Conference USA, then the Sun Belt, but you decided to go Big 12. So that's your decision. It's your life. I'm just here to make it. I'm just here to make it as good as it can be.
You're a Big 12 guy. You and Mark Jones have been on the road in the Big 12 quite a bit. So I don't know how many trips to Boulder you're going to be making this year.
We'll get a taste of the Big 12 early this season if things hold. Nothing's official yet, but large dose of the Big 12 early on.
Nice tease. Tripp, how are you, buddy? Mental health check. We're 4 days out from college football. Week 0 games. There are 5 on the docket. We will talk about those. How are you, man?
I'm excited. I've been excited for several months now to watch the Noles hang a 50-piece on Bama. But we're not just doing Big 12 today. We've got Western Kentucky on the slate. We'll get some Conference USA in there. You guys don't worry about it.
We do have the tops.
We'll squeeze the tops in.
Were you locked into the ACC summer road trip to Florida State? Because your boy was there. Saw it in person with my own two eyes.
My boy is everywhere. Every time I turn on the TV, I see you. Congratulations. You're doing a great job because you're on every show that pops up on ESPN right now.
Thank you. I don't know if that's a good thing. I hope
it's a great thing.
Is on the horn with ESPN. Make sure we get compensated for this stuff. But if you want, this is Big 12 conversation, but maybe Florida State a future Big 12 team, maybe.
Wow, it's
a little bit of a stretch, and I'm just kidding. I had a great time down there in Tallahassee. If you want to know about the Noles, I'm here for.
Here's what you need to know about Florida State. They play Week 1 against Alabama. They're a 2-touchdown underdog at home at the newly renovated Doak Campbell Stadium.
And it's beautiful.
I'm sure it is, and it'll be packed for Week 1. Here's the thing: Saturday, August 30th, Tripp Hurd birthday. So we're talking about stars aligning for potentially something really special that night for Florida State superfan Tripp, who's obviously coming off of a pretty rough go last year. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, just some juju, some vibes. You take all that you can get.
I did mention to Mike Norvell in Charlotte that August 30th was my birthday, so we'll see.
I mean, if Mike's the kind of guy, Coach Norvell's the kind of guy that we all know him to be, he's going to deliver you that win.
He's probably remember. Yeah.
Birthday.
Well, he's got his work cut out for him. Alabama is rolling into town, and that'll be one of the games that we talk about next week. Week 1 is absolutely loaded. Like, we all know what's coming. It's going to be great. But I'm looking at this Week 0 slate, and appropriately enough, today is the Big 12 preview. There's a pretty good Big 12 game on the docket Saturday. You got Iowa State, Kansas State in Dublin, Ireland. That is a noon kick on ESPN. Then things get a little weird. Idaho State, UNLV, is it 4? That's on a channel called the Mountain West Network, which I don't know if I have, honestly.
Where does one find the network of the wonderful Mountain West Conference? Is this something that
I don't know.
Is this another subscription service that I have to buy? I've got them all. I don't need any more.
I don't doubt that, Roddy. I think this is one of those where you just hold down the button, the microphone, and you just Mountain West Network.
And
Mountain West.
And then it goes.
And then who knows where that takes you? Okay.
Did you mean Western Mountains movie on Hallmark? Did you mean Network of the West Mountains?
Listen, Roddy,
no way Google's going to know.
As an ESPNer, I know you're going to be locked in for Dan Mullen's reboot in Vegas.
Dude,
okay?
So here's a little you wanted to know what's going on. Your boy's going to be sitting in studio. My butt's going to be squarely in studio something, X, Y, no, X is Sports Center, Z, some letter studio in Bristol. Because for anybody who's going to watch Iowa State, Kansas State at noon, just go ahead and flip on the TV at 10 a.m. It's going to be me, EJ Manuel, Kevin Connor sitting there at the desk. leading you up to game time. So
Let's
get
go.
your picks.
Let's go. Okay. Well, I like to push Roddy on like, hey, I'm an announcer dork. Like, tell me where you're going to be week 1. ESPN/Disney has not released their announcer pairings, like formally. We don't know. Roddy knows, but he won't tell me, and that's fine. So you will be in Bristol at headquarters for the week 0 slate. You'll be behind the desk.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's cool. But ESPN's only got one chair. ESPN's only got one game Saturday.
That's true. And then we flip over to ESPN2 and we do the FCS halftimes. So
got it. Okay, good to know. So we're not getting an FCS football today. Sorry. Idaho State UNLV's at 4. 6:30, you got Fresno State at Kansas. That's on Fox. They've got a newly renovated stadium there in Lawrence. They painted a bunch of wheat in the end zones. Have you seen the artwork, Roddy?
I've not seen the wheat in the end zones.
They have painted wheat fields in the end zones. They're not the color of wheat. They're blue. But, the Kansas thing is wave the wheat. And
Kansas's thing?
Yeah, it's Kansas's thing.
Wave
the wheat.
I thought it was rock chalk.
That's one of them, but wave the wheat is another one. Shout out to Brian Haney and the Jayhawk Sports Network. If you know, you know.
Okay.
Fresno State, Kansas is at 6:30. Then your evening slate for week 0. Tripp teased it earlier. Western Kentucky hosts Sam Houston State. That is on CBS Sports Network.
Big game.
And then Roddy will be fired up for some ACC after dark. Although it won't be dark when they're on the islands. It'll be like noon local time. Stanford at Hawaii kicks at 7:30 on CBS. Stanford may be the worst team in the Power 4. Maybe.
Maybe not.
Well,
but maybe. They're in the running.
They are an underdog at Hawaii.
I know.
Saturday night.
That makes no sense. I know Hawaii was better last year, but come on. What are we doing here? Let's play some. Can we play some trivia? Can we play a little trivia?
Yeah,
I think you guys will ace this, but there are some coaching changes of those 3 games. Iowa State, Kansas State, we know who those coaches are. Who's the coach of UNLV?
Dan
Mullen.
Very good. You guys got the first one right. Who's the coach at Sam Houston State?
Oh,
I've got my Phil Steele. I'm not going to look at it.
Longo.
Very good, Tripp. Phil Longo, former offensive coordinator at Wisconsin and North Carolina. Before that was at Sam Houston State. They were winning national championships at the FCS level. Phil Longo, the head coach at Sam Houston State. Who is the coach of Fresno State? Oh, I got you on this one. This is a good one. Former FCS national championship head coach Matt Ince. After taking a year off, he left North Dakota State, remember, 2 years ago.
Yes.
During the run of the playoff, pressure, all that stuff. Went to be the linebacker coach at USC for a year under Lincoln Riley, and now is the head coach at Fresno State. Tim Polasek took over at North Dakota State, and what did he do? He won them a national championship. They're 10th in 15 years. So
they do. Yeah.
It's a win-win for everybody. It was a win-win for everybody. So, I enjoy this game because these are random schools and random coaches, but also we could do it with the quarterbacks too. Who do you play for? I love it.
I know that Fresno State's catching double digits at Kansas. There's some pretty chunky lines.
Mm-hmm.
Tripp, you are going to be hosting. By the way, this is breaking news here for those that don't know. Tripp is going to be hosting the Phil Steele Show, which airs Thursday here on the College Sports Now podcast platforms. But Tripp, I'm sure you're going to be doing a deep dive on some of these lines, trying to find some value with Uncle Phil. Any of these games jump out to you before we get to Thursday? Like, what are we thinking here?
I think just first glance, everybody under the sun seems to like Kansas State, minus a field goal.
Really?
I haven't heard one single person talking about college football that likes Iowa State in this game, which kind of makes me like them. Pretty chunky line for UNLV. I think 25 or so. I know it's Idaho State, but you're talking about a completely new team, new quarterback, new coach. So we'll see. I mean, I think the total's like 63 and they're giving up 25 and a half, something like that. Big chunky line at Kansas, but Kansas, they've got Jalen Daniels coming back for his 9th year. So really experienced quarterback there. I do like Western Kentucky early, -9.5 against Sam Houston State. At home, I like the Hilltoppers. And the Stanford-Hawaii line has kind of moved back and forth a little bit because I want to say like a week ago, Stanford was like a 1-point favorite, but now it's back to Hawaii. So I don't know. We'll see. But we're definitely going to get all the details from Phil on what he likes on each of those matchups.
Love that. That's dropping on Thursday, so Tripp will be there with Phil Steele, who's also going to be swinging by me and Wayne show in the midweek. By the way, if you're here for a reaction to Tony Petitti throwing out a potential 26 or 28 team college football playoff, I'm saving that for Wayne. Since Wayne is the de facto Big Ten fanboy, I'm just going to go ahead and save that for the midweek edition of CSN. Roddy, I know you have Sirius XM obligations, so you have to stir the pot, right? Like you guys are just out there. Hey, the phone lines are open.
We're not
Call in. Tell us how you feel about 7 automatic Big Ten bids. But we're not doing that on the show today. So sorry.
It's ridiculous. It's not going to happen. So we can move on.
Yeah, but it is a good negotiating tactic, right?
No, it's not.
If you're trying to come up, you're at 12, you throw a ridiculously high number out there so that everybody will kind of meet you in the middle, and boom, voila, you get your 16-team field.
Why do people think if that was the first offer, but you've already offered what you want? That's a terrible negotiating tactic. Give me 16. No, we're going to stay at or give me 4 automatic bids. No, we're going to stay at 1 automatic bid. Give me 4.
7?
No, we're going to stay at 1. Give me 7. No, we're going to stay at 1. Give me 12. All right, fine. We'll meet you at 4. Okay, fine, 4. Like, no, that's not how negotiating works. You threw out your offer. It got rejected resoundingly. Tony Petitti is trying to wreck this thing, man. He's trying to turn it into the NFL. He's trying to take away all of the character of college athletics or college football. And like, I understand, percentage-wise, more teams make the playoffs in the NFL. More teams make the playoffs in the Major League Baseball. And look at all the other sports. Basketball, 64 teams. I don't care. I don't. College football is different. College football is special. And part of it is the quirks. Part of it is the fact that the regular season matters significantly. We've already diluted it. The national champion last year did not only did not make its conference championship game, but lost to its rival in the regular season.
That's right.
At the end. Didn't matter. They won the national champion. Wouldn't have happened a few years ago. Like, wouldn't have happened in the 14 playoff. So we've already diluted the regular season enough. Let's not do it anymore.
No more mulligans. Don't need it.
Yeah, no more mullies.
No more mulligans for you golf fans out there. It is worth noting that this is the 3rd straight year that we've had a different college football playoff format, right? Like, if you're keeping track, like, yes, the number of teams is still 12, but they changed the straight seedings, and they changed it to a straight seeding, so you're just going to be 1 through 4. If you're 1 through 4 in the polls, you're 1 through 4 in the seeds. Yep. That's a departure from what we've done last year. It would be nice if we let this thing bake for a little while, let fans kind of wrap their arms around it before we changed it again. But, hey, it's college football, and this sport sometimes can't get out of its own way. I did want to mention, and again, Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports is going to be stopping by here in about 10 minutes. Excited to talk to Shehan. There was some injury news from the Big 12. Not good news for Texas Tech. Running back Quentin Joyner, USC transfer, went down with a non-contact knee injury. That is never good. He's expected to miss the season. So bad news for Texas Tech, who was kind of a dark horse sleeper candidate in a very, very wide open Big 12. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 teams that could win this thing. So that's bad injury news. On the good injury news side, I did want to slip this in. Reports are out of Gainesville. DJ Lagway is back. Took his first reps of fall camp on Monday.
Non-contact jersey. Well, thank you, DJ Lagway, for finally joining the fray. Look, man, I know we're all excited about DJ Lagway.
I'm just reading the news, buddy. I just wanted to read the news. That's it.
I know we're all excited about it, but the dude's been there for about 20 minutes, and he's been on the shelf for about 15 of them. Like, the injuries have to be a concern because he had a different injury in the spring. He had the shoulder in the spring,
yes,
and then he had this calf injury or whatever it was, where he was walking on a boot. So I look, man, the it's not like he is a multi-year starter that's gotten all the reps. Like the dude was a freshman, an insanely talented one, but an insanely talented one that hasn't taken a lot of reps in the preseason, and also has a history now of injury. Not that he can't overcome either one of those, but reason for concern as
Soft.
Tripp is just looking so smug over there.
If you want to
It's
say
like, oh,
soft, I'm not going to push back on that. Folks will remember the Georgia game last year when he tweaked his hamstring and they had to bring the cart out like that.
They did. They brought the cart out for a hammy.
In the moment, I think he thought it was a lot worse than that. Okay, but
Bro,
the dude, I'm just
you
listen.
pulled a hammy before, right?
No, I don't think. No, knock on wood.
Have you pulled a hammy, Tripp?
Like every other day.
Right. Under no circumstances do you need the cart. Like at worst, you do the whole, teammate on this side, teammate on the other side, and they carry you off as you put a little weight on it. Did he think his leg had detached? Like
I don't know.
He did.
I don't know. Okay.
He did bring the cart. I forgot about that. That has changed the way I
talked
look at
about
DJ
this
Lagway
last
again.
year when he came back, and he
Sure
did go
did.
6-1 as a starter. I mean, I'm just saying, but yeah, that was a thing.
But don't let him get a hangnail. And look, this is the game of football. This is football.
I know
You
you're
gotta
not
go
wrong.
out there and play.
I do not have Florida in my CFP, but I do think they will be. I think they will be improved. I think they'll be dangerous. It's tough in the SEC.
If DJ Lagway is good and healthy, he got to take reps and he's got to be healthy.
It helps when you've got Long Island in week 1 instead of Miami. You got USF.
I would prefer Short Island
in week 2. LIU. I didn't even know LIU. I didn't know Long Island had a football team. So shout out to LIU.
Aren't they the Sharks?
Yes, they are.
Are there Sharks on Long Island?
Only when hurricanes roll through. You always see the photoshopped.
Good point. Yeah, it's good.
Like the sharks on the highway because it's flooded. You know what I'm talking about?
Sharknado.
Florida's got to watch out for South Florida in week 2.
Come on, let's
Look ahead to LSU. They go LSU, Miami on the road. I'm not saying South Florida's a better football team, but a rusty DJ Lagway who's limping around on a tweaked hammy.
Well, it is interesting.
Paper cuts.
Listen,
Couple paper cuts.
Florida is an AP top 20 team. They're a top 15 team. They're ranked 15 in the AP poll. I'm not here to do the what are you outraged by with the AP poll, but I do think there are teams on this poll who, hey, congratulations. You are a preseason top 25 team. In the case of Florida, a preseason top 15, but should you really be there? Have you really deserved that? Right? I would push back on Florida. I mean, I know there's buzz, but come on.
I don't pay attention to the AP poll a lot, but I think the AP poll is a great example of how narrative shapes what these voters are affected, and it does it to all of us. Like you can throw out any team in the country that wasn't great last year that we were projecting to be great this year, and I can be like, well, yeah, but look at this and this, what they actually did a year ago. The fact that SMU's at 16 and Florida's at 15 has 1,000% to do with the fact that last time we saw SMU was against Penn State. They actually did not play awful. They just had catastrophic mistakes on 3 or 4 plays.
Yeah.
Catastrophic, which wrecked them, and they got blown out. Florida played Tulane in the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah, they did.
And they blew out Tulane. And yes, they ended the season well. But the stretch of Mississippi, the Ole Miss win was great. But the stretch of Florida State and Tulane to end the season, you're like, okay, we're buying into that. Now they also beat LSU, so there was some validation there.
And who else did they beat to close out the season?
Ole Miss,
your boys, Ole Miss, who you crowned in late October as a national championship contender.
They were.
And then they went down to Gainesville and got. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They
did. You caught a plane ride with Jackson Dart, and that thing went south very quickly. That's how that went.
When was that plane ride? I was coming back from Utah.
Oh, yeah.
So it had to be BYU. It'd be week 9-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Anyway, so I understand that, but with what SMU's got coming back, I think there's a debate there. I don't know. I think there's a lot to be not super enthralled by.
It's fair. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to push back. Look, I'm reading the headlines. All right. This is the time of the year you don't want your team to be making the news when it comes to injury updates. We talked about it with Texas Tech. I just had to let our people know that DJ Lagway's back. I just had to let our people know.
Thank you for doing that. That's a good note for people.
How about we head to Big 12 country, shall we? Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports joins the show next. As promised, we're going to talk Big 12 football with our man Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports. Shehan, I don't know if first of all, great to see you. Like it's week 0. We got a massive Big 12 game coming up this weekend, a little conference action on the Emerald Isle. Are you going to Ireland? Question mark. Like, is CBS opening up the wallet to send you out there? What's the deal this weekend?
I mean, look, man, it's not 1993. No one opens up the wallet anymore. Of course, I'm not going to Ireland for this, but no, I will say I have a lot of family out in the UK, but I've never been to Dublin. I've always wanted to go. That's definitely one of the places that I hope to get to soon.
Well, I've been. It's cool. It's not the coolest part of Ireland, but it is like where everybody has to kind of fly in and out of. Roddy, you've done Ireland, right? Didn't you go
bro.
with?
No, bro.
That was after you left the institute.
I have been off the shores of the United States once in my life, and it wasn't to Ireland.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I'm not a world traveler.
We will get to Iowa State, K-State, but this is the Big 12 preview. We've built our entire show, Shehan, around you because you are the preeminent Big 12 guy, at least in my book. At first blush, for me, it feels like the Big 12 has like 6 or 7 teams that could win this thing. Like, we know what happened last year with Arizona State coming out of nowhere. As you look at this thing from like a 30,000-foot view, how far down the list do you go before you draw the line and you're like, teams below this cannot win a Big 12 title, but everybody else can?
Yeah, I set the line at 9. Now, that's, I think, the most generous version of it. But I really kind of tier it a little bit, right? So in my top tier of contenders, I've got 4 teams. I think that's Texas Tech, Baylor, Arizona State, Kansas State. I think that those 4 teams are probably my favorites right now. Utah and TCU are kind of those swing candidates, I would say. I think that both of them definitely have the upside, but I think that they also have more downside than those other 4 teams that I mentioned. And when you get down the board, I mean, look, I didn't mention Iowa State, who was in the Big 12 title game last year. They obviously still have the goods, but it's hard to do that 2 years in a row. I think that you also look at a program like Kansas, which I think is kind of right on the edge of being Big 12 title capable, but you trust that coaching staff. They've got a senior quarterback in Jalen Daniels. I think that the most interesting team to try to place right now is BYU. Before the Jake Retzlaff situation, they would have been in my contender tier, frankly, right? They might have been my Big 12 favorite with him. Well, once he left, I don't love the backups that they had there. I dropped them down to 8 or 9 in the Big 12, but the excitement right now is that Bear Bachmeier, the true freshman, is apparently really impressing after arriving in the spring. So maybe he gives him a little more upside. But those are my 9. I think that it would be a real shock to see Cincinnati or Houston. Now, I think they can have good seasons, but I just don't see them as capable of having that 16th to 1st type jump that Arizona State did last year.
It's going to be a fascinating league, Shehan, and part of the reason why is because unlike the ACC or the SEC or the Big Ten, you got a ton of quarterbacks coming back. 6 of the 7 top passers from a year ago come back. Shedeur Sanders, the only one that leaves. So who's the best quarterback in the Big 12? Is it Sam Leavitt? Is there competition? Who's the best quarterback coming back?
Well, you mentioned, I mean, it's 11 quarterbacks overall coming back, and that doesn't include Devin Dampier and Caden Salter coming in, who are really good players. So it's going to be probably the best quarterback year that we've had in quite a while in the Big 12, I would argue. So Sam Leavitt is consensus QB1. There's no doubt about it. He helped lead Arizona State to the playoff last year. His presence, I think, transformed so much what they did offensively, although, now they'll have to do it without Cameron Scadaboo, of course, at running back. But I don't think that it's definitive. And I think the top competition to me is Sawyer Robertson at Baylor. I think that he is a really, really exciting player. He came on in the second half of the season and was the primary catalyst behind them winning 6 straight Big 12 games to end the year. Actually, the funny thing about Baylor last year is they finish 8-4. But if that Hail Mary doesn't happen against Colorado, they're actually playing for a Big 12 title because of the way that the tiebreakers would have worked out. So just kind of a weird quirk of the schedule there. But I think that Sawyer really came on late in the year. I think that he absolutely has the goods to potentially do it. And by the way, they have 2 games early in Auburn and SMU where he can take that, I would argue, very, very early. I do think, though, that there are other quarterbacks who have the ability to jump up. I look at Avery Johnson at Kansas State, one of the most talented players in the conference. Josh Hoover at TCU was probably the most underrated quarterback in the conference, though he has to do it without 2 NFL receivers. And I mean, again, like if you looked up at the end of the year and told me, hey, you know what, like it's Rocco Becht, he continued his trajectory. It's Baron Morton, he had more structure around him and he was able to take a step forward. I don't think anything can surprise. Devin Dampier, by the way, at Utah, a huge addition for them. So it's such a great year for quarterbacks in this conference. And the rankings at the end of the year could look very different than at the beginning.
Yeah.
You mentioned Baylor, Shehan. Like, yeah, this is a team I don't think nationally a lot of people realize. I know you're in Texas, and I know you cover the Big 12, so, like, you know. Oh, by the way, you also went to Baylor. But, like, Auburn week 1 on a Friday night, they got 2 CFP teams, SMU and Arizona State, in the first 4 weeks. Like, we're going to know pretty early about Dave Aranda and company. Like, this could be a Baylor program when you look at the trajectory of what Aranda's had to go through, right, the last couple of years. Like, we're going to find out if the Bears are, in fact, like, all the way back pretty early, aren't we?
Well, and I've described them as being the most important team in the Big 12 this year. And the reason that I say that is because of those non-conference games. They play Auburn in a nationally televised Friday game that everybody's going to be watching. That's going to be a really fun one I'll be down at. And then week 2, they play SMU. If you win both of those games, it doesn't just help your case as Baylor. It also, I think, helps the Big 12's case, because this is a team that people expect to be near the top of the conference. If you're losing to a middle-of-the-road Auburn team in week 1, it just completely kills the perception, I think, of
They're
the top
underdogs.
of the Big 12.
Baylor's an underdog week 1. That's crazy.
100%, which, you know, we'll see what happens there. But I do think that, again, if you go and win those games and then you contend for the top of the conference, not only does it help you in terms of playoff positioning as Baylor, I think it also helps the Big 12's case for getting a second team in. If they have a head-to-head win versus SMU, if they have a head-to-head win versus an Auburn team that, if some things break right, could be fighting for an at-large spot in the college football playoff. And when you look at this Baylor team, I mean, they are locked and loaded. Dave Aranda calls this the best team from a talent perspective that he's ever had. I'd probably push back. I'd say that 2021 is probably better, but offensively, this team has a chance to be really special. I mentioned Sawyer. They've got the best running back in the Big 12 in Bryson Washington. They've got 4 offensive linemen returning. They return most of their top receivers. Defensively is where they need to take a little bit of a step forward, especially in the secondary. They poached TCU's secondary coach, Paul Gonzalez, who was part of coaching 2 Thorpe Award winners out there. So they really feel like they have the goods to take a step forward. It's a big ask for them after, like you said, I mean, they started 2-4 last year and needed a 6-game winning streak to really get Dave Aranda back in good position. But this is the season they've been planning for. And the fact that they were able to bring back all of Sawyer, Bryson Washington, and Jake Spavital at offensive coordinator, I think speaks really highly about what they think they can do this year.
I do as well. Another team that I'm high on, and you're going to have to convince me. You're going to have to talk me off of this hill that I'm planting my flag on. I think Utah is the favorite to me. I do. Like, this was a top 5 defense in the conference last year, despite the offense being hot garbage. They got Jason Beck coming over from New Mexico. You mentioned Devin Dampier. So the quarterback play will be significantly better. It is, in all likelihood, going to revert back from a turnover standpoint to what it was previous. They had not had a negative turnover margin as a team since 2018, and they had it last year. I think they were like -4 in turnovers a year ago. Why is and they got 2 first-round tackles on the offensive line, maybe the best offensive line in the country. Convince me that Utah's not going to win this thing, Shehan. Like, talk some sense into me.
Well, look, I mean, obviously they replace a true freshman quarterback who threw a lot of interceptions with a player who led the nation in interceptions last year with 12. But to be serious, this is such a fascinating team. And I talked about it off the top. They have so much upside, but I think that they have a lot of downside too, right? Now, defensively, you can set your watch to them. I don't know if they're going to be quite as good as they were defensively last year, but they're going to be a top 3 defense at worst in the conference. You can just assume that. offensively, I mean, that offensive line is serious. I think they've got a really good case to being the best offensive line in the entire country, much less in the Big 12. They brought over some players at running back, right, who's going to be able to give them more consistency. And what I love about this new offensive system coming in is I think it just gives them such a higher floor than asking a bunch of guys who weren't capable of it to drop back and do a lot of pro style stuff. This is in many ways a return to what Urban Meyer was doing with some of the power spread stuff. That's how they view it at Utah right now. That's kind of how they wanted to forge their identity in a lot of ways. And so I think the big question to me is, okay, you know, the floor is going to be high, right? They're not going 5-7 this year. I can promise you that. But I do think that the ceiling is going to be decided by where is Devin Dampier as a passer in the Big 12. So much last year, he was asked to basically run around and make plays. And sometimes that was awesome. And sometimes it didn't work at all. I've heard really good reviews of his passing out of camp so far this year. So they're optimistic. They believe that he has the ability to come in and add to that passing offense. But if he struggles to pass, then this is still a good team. This is still an 8 or 9 win team. I can't put them yet at the very top of the Big 12 until I know for sure that Devin Dampier has the goods as a Big 12 passer.
Shehan, you wrote an awesome piece about Texas Tech over the summer. It lives on CBS Sports for those that want to go and read about how Texas Tech is just flipping the switch on athletics and is doing so by the way of, you know, billionaires, frankly, who live in West Texas. Obviously, they did not get good news earlier this week on the injury front with Quentin Joyner going down for the year. The USC transfer is not going to be a go for them at running back. How does that change your perspective of Texas Tech? Because a lot of people had them as, you know, maybe a dark horse in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, right now, they're my picks to win the Big 12. We're going to have our full list of Big 12 picks coming out on Wednesday at CBSSports.com. I won't lie though, like that is a knock. When you looked at Quentin Joyner coming in, speaking to their staff, they viewed him as one of the most undervalued running backs in the country last year at USC. They feel like if USC ran the ball just a little bit more, they would have had an opportunity to maybe be a little bit of a better team. And when you look at that room, it's still talented. It's just young and it's just unproven. I think that when you look at the way that Texas Tech wanted to format their team, especially their offense, like there's a reason they invested so hard in the offensive line. They wanted to be able to bulldoze teams, and Quentin Joyner was a huge part of that. Now they got 2 young players, 2 sophomores back there that they feel really good about, but I think that Quentin Joyner was their best opportunity to have an all-conference type piece at that running back position. I think that with the 2 guys who are back there now, you're kind of hoping for above average, right? You're kind of hoping for solid. And does that destroy their chances? No, I don't think it does. But I do think that it changes the way that you're able to bully teams when you don't necessarily have a bully at that running back position.
Sean, is Mike Gundy going to get this thing back on track, man? Because that was I did the Colorado-Oklahoma State game, and Lord, look, we try and get out as soon as possible, as soon as the game ends, like in the car to the airport, get the hell out of there. I think Oklahoma State beat us to the airport. They wanted no part of being in Boulder that night or that day.
Yeah. Last year was one of the weirdest seasons by any team I can ever remember. And the crazy thing about Oklahoma State coming off of a 0-9 Big 12 slate is that they essentially return no players. They have 4 total starters technically coming back, only 1 on offense, and he's their tight end, Josh Ford. They brought in 65 new players this offseason, and 30 plus of them didn't get to campus until the summer. So, and I have to mention too, they replaced 9 of their 10 assistant coaches as well. So if you think that there's any way to predict what's going to happen, Mike Gundy has no idea what's going to happen. He basically acknowledged that during our talk at Big 12 Media Days earlier in July. So this is a wholesale rebuild and reset, not just of the players, but of the coaches and the culture and everything. So because of that, I don't think that they necessarily have to like go and win 9 games this year to feel like they're getting back on track. but they just have to reinstitute and find a new identity. Like they just have to do that. They have to get back to putting out good quarterbacks. They've got 2 guys on campus right now fighting for the starting job in Zane Flores and Haas Haney, who have never appeared in a college football game to this point. They don't have obvious answers at receiver after losing Brennan Presley and Deshaun Stribling to Ole Miss. So like, really, your guess is as good as mine, because this is a completely new team in every single way.
Shehan, I want to ask you about Arizona State. I'm actually a big believer in Sam Leavitt. I think they can win the conference again, but they've got a team total of 8.5 wins right now. I like the over, but you as the Big 12 expert, can you tell me with 100% certainty,
100%
like my 4-year-old kid depends on eating, am I right in taking the over 8.5 wins?
Well, I think that that in the state of Texas, gambling is not legal, and so my official advice is, you know what, we got to save the money for no. But I feel really good about that over number. I do. I think that when you look at Arizona State, in some ways, 2025 was the season they had circled on their calendar. I think that they arrived early last year, frankly, because they return essentially every major contributor from the team other than Cam Scadaboo, quarterback Sam Leavitt, receiver Jordan Tyson, who I think is the best in the Big 12, defensive tackle CJ Fight, who's going to be an all Big 12 selection, 2 safeties who have a chance to be in the NFL, including Xavier Alford. And by the way, a bunch of interesting young pieces as part of the pass rush as well, who have come over from big time programs like Prince Dorba and Clayton Smith. So like, this team, I think, was supposed to be better this year than it was last year. You lose a piece like Cam Scadaboo, that's a huge deal. Huge deal. But they bring over Kanye Udo from Army. They have a former 5-star in Raleek Brown who didn't play last year because of injury. They think he's going to be a huge addition for them. So look, I mean, I would not pick them to win the Big 12 right now. I think that they have a very good chance to be in Arlington, though. So I think that over 8.5, that feels like a very reasonable number to me.
Me too.
Thank you, Shehan, because I want to ask about TCU. Like, they have, Big 12's got some very interesting week 1 games, but in terms of the number of eyeballs, I don't know if anyone's going to have more eyes on them than TCU, because they play you-know-who in Chapel Hill. TCU is a road favorite in this game. It wasn't that many years ago that TCU was playing for a national championship. Can Sonny Dykes and company bounce back this year? What do we think?
Well, it's funny because if you just for a second eliminate that 2022 season, pretend it never happened, they go from 5 wins to 9 wins and have a chance to contend for the Big 12 this year, and you're like, oh, that's just a normal rebuild. Like, that's just a normal team progression in so many ways. And I think that's how Sonny Dykes and his staff see it. This is a team, I don't think people realize that they're the best recruiting team in the Big 12 over the past 5 years, that they are the most talented roster in the Big 12 when you look at things like 247 talent composite. Now, all that said, they have to replace 2 NFL receivers. That's a big deal. They have to get better in the running game. That was a huge issue for them last year. But I also think that this team progressed more on defense in the second half of the year under Andy Avalos than I think people realize as well. So, again, I put them next to Utah in that swing group of, hey, you know what? This team has the upside to win the Big 12. I didn't even mention, of course, quarterback Josh Hoover, who's one of the more exciting young quarterbacks in the conference. Now, I think that his numbers will take a little bit of a step back, as I hope that they're able to run the ball at a higher level and not put so much on his plate. But he's a big-time passer who I think will only continue to get better. I think that TCU absolutely has what it takes to be in Arlington and contend for the Big 12. And again, I think that people are so skewed by what happened in 2022 to 23 that they don't necessarily notice that this was a 9-win team last year that won a whole lot of games.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I want to. You can't talk about the Big 12 now, I think, this year without talking about the fact that we got 2 boomerang coaches. We got Rich Rod back at West Virginia. We got Scott Frost back at UCF. We're going to party like it's 2007 and 2017 all day. What are the expectations? Like, what are these 2 guys dealing with? And what are they walking into at West Virginia and UCF respectively?
Well, it's fascinating, right? Because, like, you have two coaches who obviously were part of a lot of success at these respective programs. Scott Frost in 2016-17, Rich Rodriguez during basically the whole 2000s before he left for Michigan in 2000 after the 2007 season. But also, like, this is a completely different sport than when either of them were here. Now, they're kind of different situations because with Rich Rod, you're talking about an older coach who's actually been coaching pretty consistently since he left West Virginia, right? I mean, he told me himself, like, I would not have this job if not for having a lot of success at Jacksonville State. At the same time, the difference between Jacksonville State and West Virginia in terms of what you have to do day to day is different than it's ever been. Managing a budget, dealing with instant transfers, things like that. So I think that that's going to be the biggest challenge for Rich Rodriguez is, can he keep guys on campus? Can he keep them happy? He is a hard-nosed coach. Are you able to do that the same way in 2025? They're going to have to find a balance of that. But again, like, that dude just wins wherever he goes. Scott Frost is interesting because, of course, you have this moment of success as a head coach at UCF. He goes to Nebraska, has not been quiet about the fact that maybe that wasn't the right decision for him. Spent last year with Sean McVay's staff and with the Los Angeles Rams, and kind of was very upfront about the fact that, you know what, I didn't necessarily think that I was going to come back to college football, but then this opportunity came about. Now, I think that for me, like, it's going to be much more of a, hey, do you understand what it takes now to compete and win in the Big 12? Because, you know, again, he was not quiet about the fact that I had to bring in 50 new players and I didn't expect to have to do that. And I didn't realize, you know, just all this sort of stuff, right? Like, it's clear that he is adjusting on the fly to some of these aspects of the new era. So I think that for him, it's really going to be, okay, do you understand, one, what's different about college football now? And two, do you understand what's different about this job right now? I think both Rich Rod and Scott Frost did a really nice job of bringing in some young former players as assistant coaches who maybe can, one, help translate the modern game to them, and two, also translate themselves to the young players. Mackenzie Milton, quarterbacks coach now at UCF. Pat White, of course, involved with Rich Rodriguez at West Virginia. But man, you look back at the history of these retread hires, of these bounce back hires, it's a very mixed bag, right? For every Greg Schiano, which has gone pretty well, there's or Bill Snyder second time around, there's also a Gary Anderson. There's also, you know, there's so many examples of this. Randy Edsel at UConn, like, there are bad examples of this. I'll be fascinated to see how these work out.
Roddy, pretty disappointed you haven't asked Shehan about your boys in Boulder yet. I mean, you did half of their season last year. Like, they got a pretty big game week 1 against your alma mater. Like, Shehan, like, are we? Has the shine completely rubbed off of Colorado? Like, you know, Tripp was talking win totals earlier. I think they're like 5.5 this year. Like, getting to a bowl is going to be an accomplishment for Dion. Like, what do you expect to see in Boulder?
The most fascinating thing about them is that they're kind of just going to be a normal football team this year. And what I mean by that is, like, you look at the last 2 years, almost everything that they do was based on trying to feature, you know, Dion's sons, including Travis Hunter in that, right? With Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, offensively, defensively, trying to pump their stats, trying to prepare them for the NFL. And now it's like, I don't know what exactly the guiding light is there. I don't know what the identity is there necessarily. What I will say is that I actually think that the star of this team in 2025 is going to be the defense. Robert Livingston at defensive coordinator is a rising star in this industry. They paid him $1.3 million to keep him on campus because he was being pursued. They added Jaheim Otis from Alabama over the offseason. So I think that this defense legitimately could be pretty good. Offensively, though, it's like, okay, they brought in 9 new transfers on the offensive line. They have their 3rd new offensive line coach in 3 years. They have a quarterback in Caden Salter who's more of a runner than Shedeur, but is less of a scrambler than Shedeur. He's more of a designed run type of guy. So I just don't know what the structure of this offense is going to look like. But I think that, you know, again, they're going to be fun. They're going to have a chance to, I think, try some things. But, like, it's just not the same shine, like you said, not having the Heisman Trophy winner and also Deion Sanders' son playing quarterback out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to Ireland, across the pond. That was I don't even know what kind of accent that was.
Wasn't your best.
It certainly wasn't Irish. That was better.
It's better. Yeah, that's better.
We're trying here.
I've heard a lot of bad Irish accents this week. I won't lie to you. Everybody's getting in the spirit.
Well, top of the morning to you, Shehan. Let's go. All right, let's go to Ireland. Handicap this matchup for us, and in what does it mean in the? It's hard to say anything means a lot in week 0 with 9 conference games, but what does this game mean in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a really good case that this is like one of the biggest week 0 games that we've had in a very long time. Because
other than last year, that was a massive game.
Sure.
Massive game. Huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had one championship level program and also Florida State there, but
You're getting right, Shehan.
I think though that these two teams both expect to contend for the Big 12, and while yes, week 0 you have a lot more games left to play after that, I think that the winner of this game is going to contend for the Big 12, and the loser is not. I think that the loser is, I don't want to say eliminated from Big 12 contention, but if you lose the tiebreaker to the other team and also have a loss before everybody else, it just puts you in such a tough position to try to fight back into Big 12 contention. So this is, again, one of the biggest games that we've ever seen in week 0. For me, I look at this matchup. Of course, there's the tale of the quarterbacks. Avery Johnson, a resurgent star, threw for more touchdowns as a first-year starter than any player in Kansas State history. Dynamic rusher, one of the best recruits in program history. On the other side, you have Rocco Becht, who I think has been as steady as anybody, more than 6,600 yards in his first 2 seasons as a passer, with 25 touchdowns in each season. Like, these are 2 really good players. I also think, though, that with Kansas State, you're defined by bringing in help at wide receiver. With Iowa State, I think you're defined by the wide receivers that you lost. You know, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, both heading to the Houston Texans in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. And the reality of the situation is neither of these programs is just replacing 2nd and 3rd round receivers with regularity, right? I think that ends up being one of the defining issues. Now, defensively, I give Iowa State a narrow edge, but Kansas State is still really good back there as well. So I think that so much of the time in the Big 12, there are teams that are steady, and the timelines of when they win the Big 12 are when they have returning skill talent that has upside. And when I look at Iowa State, I think that they're kind of starting over from that perspective. When I look at Kansas State with Avery Johnson, Jace Brown at receiver, and some of the guys that they brought in to help augment, I think that they just have more upside at the skill positions right now. So I tend to lean Kansas State. I think that they're going to emerge as the true Big 12 contender.
I'm not pushing back on this at all. This is truly a curiosity question. How do you weigh Iowa State's returning offensive line experience in the running back room when you consider the skill? Because that is intriguing to me, and it's almost the inverse of Kansas State. Although Kansas State's got a decent amount coming back in the offensive line, but they lose DJ Giddens. Like, how do you weigh that?
No, it's a huge factor. Absolutely. I think that one thing that probably impacts my projection of that is that they struggled so much run blocking last year. They weren't necessarily a very good run blocking unit. Now, I expect them to take a step forward, but how much of one, right? Like, do you see Carson Hansen being 1,000-yard rusher? Do you see Abu Sama kind of finally putting it all together as a dynamic breakout piece? I don't. Now, it's also real that Kansas State, I think that they only returned 2 starters on the offensive line, one all Big 12 selection and Sam Hecht at center, but like, they are starting over. And while you do trust the development that Chris Kleiman's done at that position, I just talked about timelines, right? I just talked about, trying to get everybody on the same page at the same time, and these moving targets that you're dealing with when you're Big 12 programs that aren't necessarily just able to stack talent every single year. So I think it absolutely is a factor, and that's probably where Iowa State has to dominate this matchup, is get around the edge, force Avery Johnson to move around, throw on the run. He can be mistake prone. I mean, he was a 10 interception guy last year as well. But I think that with Avery Johnson's running, it just gives them a floor that I don't know that Iowa State has right now.
Yeah. Roddy just needs some talking points because he's going to be in studio at the Worldwide Leader, so he needs
True.
to be he needs to be up on his
True.
stuff.
I'll send my invoice in the mail.
There you go. Please
Honestly,
do.
I'm just going to repurpose everything you just said, Shehan.
Yeah,
Thank you very
that's
much.
phenomenal. Shehan, thank you, brother, for talking some ball with us. Before I let you go, you're obviously CBS Sports. That means HQ hits all year long. You also got the College Football Insiders podcast. Anything else we need to plug before we let you go?
No, that's the main stuff. Just follow me on all social media platforms at Shehan Jeyarajah, CBSSports.com for all my work, CBS Sports HQ for TV, and College Football Insiders, like you mentioned. Yeah.
There you go. Love it. Shehan, you're the best, buddy. Thank you for hopping on with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
There you go. That is Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports. He is spectacular. Like he is a guy that you need to follow. If he's not already on your social media channels, then you're doing it wrong. So appreciate Shehan on the deep dive with the Big 12, which is going to be, like fascinating is like a buzzword. Like everybody uses it this time of the year because the season hasn't started and you're trying to sell hope and optimism. But the Big 12, like legitimately, I mean, he said 9 teams could win that
The team that
thing.
was picked 16th won the thing last year. So I think he's shortchanging Cincinnati and Colorado and Houston.
Colorado.
Yeah. This conference is going to be exciting, I think is the way that I want to put it. And I hope it's a great race, but I also kind of hope their two teams sort of emerge because I think this is a conference that like deserves multiple teams in the playoff. I don't think we'll get there because I think these teams are still very close from a talent perspective, and it will be like last year where we're going into week 12, 13, 14, and there's 7 teams still in the running because of tiebreakers. I think it'll be more like that. But it's got the most – I think this conference, Big 12 and the SEC, have the most top-to-bottom intrigue on how it shakes out, and we'll have the most teams in the running down the stretch.
Yeah, obviously we got Shahan's thoughts on Ireland, Iowa State, Kansas State, 2 ranked teams. That is the premier matchup of week 0. But if you look ahead to week 1, the Baylor Auburn game is going to be awesome. That's a Friday nighter in Waco. Auburn is a road favorite. There's a lot of drama around this Auburn football program. Not the case with Baylor, and that's going to be an awesome game to watch. Also, Georgia Tech, Colorado, which we've talked about on our ACC preview last week. Roddy, I know you and I will be heavily invested in that. Also, though, like sneaky, like Nebraska, Cincinnati at Arrowhead. Like, that's a sneaky good game week 1. That's on a Thursday night. I'm excited, man. Like, I legitimately, insert joke about the summer being over. Roddy, I know your kids are back in school. Tripp, you and I we're still sorting out our child care situations. My kids are back in school, but that ain't enough. We need aftercare. When those kids get out at 3, hey, look, man, there's still a lot of time left in the workday. And we got to figure out those next 2 hours. So anyway, to be continued. All right, there's about 5 minutes left in the program. Roddy, I want you to get in the zone here. I want you to just kind of close your eyes. I want you to think about Rod Stradamus, your alter ego. For folks that may be listening to the show for the first time, or maybe you're not familiar with Roddy's superpower. Around these parts, we call him Rod Stradamus. At the end of the show, Roddy has the ability to sometimes see the future. Not all the time, but sometimes he can look into his crystal ball and he can pick winners. I've got a pretty extensive catalog of picks from last season.
You got every pick from last season.
I have every pick from last season because, folks, we have a Google Doc. It's 2025, okay? We have this stuff that enables us to communicate in real time. I'm going to delete all of the picks from last year.
Thank God.
Because it was a sub 500 season for you.
I don't know that I was ever over 500 last year.
You weren't. You got off to a rough start. Never really recovered. In fact, I was just going back and combing through some of the results. Week 9 last year, Rod Stradamus went 2-12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we archive these somewhere or just delete them?
I don't think. I mean, I have the overall
for
records.
Transparency's sake.
If you want to save these in a folder,
I mean, look, we're never going to release the files, Tripp. The
Right.
files ain't getting released.
but like we've been doing Rod Stradamus for over 5 years. Okay, you are 7 games below 500.
This is my year.
Over 5 years. So like, you're not awful at this. You're also not You're batting 500, right? Like
no, I'm batting under 500. Thank you very much.
Barely. Over 5 seasons, though. So here's what I'm going to do. There's only 5 games on the Week 0 slate. If there's anything you're interested in, let us know. Otherwise, we can kick this can down the road for Week 1 when we've got a juicy slate.
Look, I ain't soft. We got to start this thing off with something.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to go a 5-pack, but we might get close. Let's just
all
see
right, Tripp, you're my resident line guy here, okay? Please check these lines because sometimes Roddy will be like, hey, offshore, I'm seeing a number, and it's like that number never really exists. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes
so, like,
it does exist.
Check this man.
All right, I'll go in order of confidence. Most confident, give me Stanford plus the 2.5.
Wow. Classic ACC home
good number.
Yes, the vintage classic ACC team, Stanford. Give me the plus 2.5. I will go Western Kentucky minus the 10.
10.5.
I'll take the 10.5.
Right on. Right. This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes he cuts corners.
It's fine. I don't have a great feel for this Ireland game. I don't. But I think if you were going to hold my feet to the fire, I think I'm going to go Kansas State minus the 3.
Don't do it.
Is the number 3? Is that where
3.
we are?
Okay. Yep.
All right. K-State.
You like Iowa State, Tripp?
Just because I'm fading the public.
Listen, Tripp likes to zig when everyone zags. Like that's what he's built his empire on. Frankly,
I think the fact that Kansas State is coming off of the monster win in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. No, that was the Pop-Tart Bowl. They got the Pop-Tart. That was
2 years ago. That's old news. That Pop-Tart's been digested and expelled.
Miami.
What was last year?
In the Pop-Tart.
Yeah,
and they got beat. Well, ACC's never won the Pop-Tart Bowl or the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Who'd they play? Was that Iowa State? Who'd Miami play? Can't remember now.
I'm gonna look it up.
No, I don't. I'll look it up. Keep going. What else you got for Week 0?
That's it.
Just a little 3-piece.
That's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't think I'm going to take Kansas minus the 13.
Iowa State is the Pop-Tart Bowl winner. They beat Miami last year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, okay, there we go. I knew it was one of these.
Kansas State won it the year before. So both Avery Johnson and Rocco Beck have tasted the Pop-Tart mascot. They've eaten it. They've died. It's in their system.
Yes.
If they play.
Yes. That's it. That's all I got. Actually, give me Kansas minus the 13. Why not?
I mean, you really hate it though for Miami to get the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, Cam Ward, and just to come up a little short in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
He stopped. He didn't play the second half, if you'll remember. He set the record for Miami.
Yeah,
for
but he played the whole
season,
right?
Like
he played the whole season, top pick in the draft, and they just barely come up short in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
They were undefeated and then lost to I can't remember who was it. Who'd they lose to, Steven, when they were undefeated? They caught that L.
I've got it right here. Hang on.
Hang on.
I got it.
Oh, he's searching.
These guys.
Those
guys.
Yes, them jackets. One does not simply stroll out of the flats, Cam Ward, and think that you're going to waltz to a national championship.
How old is this helmet,
trophy?
Roddy? If you had to guess, how old?
That's a air helmet.
Yeah, this thing is old.
Roddy was wearing that thing.
Roddy had leather helmets.
We had Revo Speeds, man. Like we were a couple generations after them. The rubber bladder in the helmet. We were a couple generations past that.
I don't want to ruin either one of you guys' day, but I'm probably higher on Georgia Tech than either one of you.
Lord,
I don't know if that's possible.
That's bad. But I'm also about 100% sure they're going to lose at Colorado week 1, just because that's what's going to happen.
Well, that can't happen. We can save those takes for next week. But if Tech's going to do something special, they need to handle their business in Boulder on a Thursday night. I've already got my week 1 Thursday night planned. And guess what, folks? It does involve a little trip down the street to Truist Stadium or Truist Field or Truist Park or whatever it's called. Taking the family to a little Wake Kennesaw State? What? The Owls are in town? Are you kidding me?
Gary Mack's coaching debut.
That's Jake Dickert. Jake
for the Wake
Dickert.
Forest team total.
I mean, I'm just, why not? I'll have the whole place to myself. We'll be able to spread out. Plenty of seats available at Truist Field. All right, so that was it, folks. We did an episode. Thanks to Shehan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports. Wayne Cook will be by for the midweek edition, and then we've got you-know-who, Michael Felder, in the hopper for the Felder Friday edition of CSN. Roddy, safe travels up to Bristol, okay?
Thanks, boys.
Give my regards to everybody up there.
Will do.
And I'll look forward to watching you on TV. Tripp, you got the Phil Steele Show on Thursday, so you can listen to that then. Thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you soon.